All right, everyone. The Mueller investigation is partially predicated on the Steele dossier, and now it's facing new tough questions, even from early proponents, including the Yahoo journalist who basically first broke the story to the world. With regards to this, I believe Gabe took the first interview of Christopher Steele and was told some of these things that supposedly were in it. Very, very significant, because the Steele dossier has been under question for some time. The thing is that people early and often who said, hey, this doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense, some of this stuff is almost certainly a bunch of bullshit, they were called conspiracy theorists, a year ago. Now you've got even mainline journalists. These are from groups that don't like Trump. If you think Yahoo as a company is like, yay, Trump, we're going to donate to your campaign or something, yeah, probably not. Although because Yahoo has slipped so much and is now a minor player there other than their news service, maybe they'll start doing that. They'll say, no, we need less corporate censorship. No, we want more competition because we want to come roaring back to life, which probably won't happen. Christopher Steele's dossier appears to be fomented on specifically making a bunch of bullcrap up. And then unfortunately broke through sort of, the containment that it originally was, which is just op research done by a Republican campaign. It was the Jeb Bush campaign that first was doing this. It got given to the Clinton campaign. People there associated with, intel agencies in some sense, somehow it got fronted to them. You have Lisa Page and Sturzak there, the FBI lovers or CIA lovers or whatever they were. That gets fronted to the FISA court, the problem being, of course, then they rubber stamp everything. It went before Rosenstein, who rubber stamped it, claims that he can't recall whether he read it. Either way, he should have been fired immediately upon saying that. It's like, oh, Mr. Rosenstein, you can't recall whether you've signed a FISA warrant that involved a probe into an active presidential campaign? I think that'd be something that you'd be interested in reading before you actually sign. He either read it and signed it and is lying to Congress, which means he should be in prison right now, or he didn't read it and he was derelict in his duty and should be fired. Regardless, he shouldn't be in the position he's in right now. You have that situation. And then the Mueller probe begins. It gets carte blanche. It's basically, hey, you have a legal blanket here. You can investigate whatever you want. Anything 5 steps removed from Trump and anything 5 steps removed from what's 5 steps removed from Trump. If you want to investigate the government of Bhutan, you can investigate the government of Bhutan because one of Trump's associates has a friend's neighbor's dog that once belonged to an ambassador in Bhutan. So there's your connection with Trump. You can investigate them. That's essentially what form these various probes have taken. They have carte blanche. There is no limit to what they can do. This is partially based on the Steele dossier, but the Steele dossier, what happened, or what appears to have happened, is that things were written up, basically from other news stories. And then that was used as a source to create news stories, which were then rolled up into the dossier. So what you would do, you would make a claim. Like, let's say I make a legal claim about someone. I give my opinion. I say, well, I think that they're involved in money laundering or something. And it gets into an MSN story or Yahoo story or whatever. And then that gets taken and you put it into, you write it up into the person's wiki article, or you place it somewhere else using that source that is considered credible because it's from the legacy media. And then you eventually create a dossier on this material. The problem is you could have made everything up to begin with. It could be totally false. and so you've presented it as though the source is legitimate when you were the one that was fronting the material in the first place, whether spurious or not. So the dossier, which was used for evidence, shouldn't have been considered evidence of anything. At the very least, it should have been vetted more properly. The problem is it looks like there was no vetting process at all because of political motivations. There was a reason. Steele has alluded to, at least, essentially doing things to try to fuck Trump thereafter, after his campaign had ended and he had won, which begs the question, how would they have speculated that when every public poll said that Clinton was going to win? I think that they miscalculated greatly and that all of these probes are being prolonged to cover up their tracks. They need more time to erase their footsteps, essentially, number one. And number two, to make the claim to the public, they botched the investigation. They've broken multiple laws. They failed with Flynn, it seems, or very close to have. Their main catch was Manafort for money laundering a decade ago. They have to save face now to the public, or they don't save their jobs. Rosenstein wants to keep his job or some job in government. Mueller wants still to be in his position. The Clintons don't want to be implicated in a major political scandal again. It'd be bad for their book sales. Jeb Bush and his people don't want to be implicated as having gotten a foreign intel agent to wrap up a bunch of Wikipedia bullshit that he himself fed to the media in the first place in order to write a deeply tainted dossier that's been implicated in a national scandal 10 times worse than Watergate. And that's really what it's about. It's not... The scandal isn't Trump took money from Russians. Trump communicated with the Kremlin. Everything that we've seen that's been claimed to be odd is totally above board. It's normal for a presidential campaign to coordinate with foreign governments to a diplomatic extent. Not in representing the U.S., but saying, hey, if I win this job, I'm going to need to know who these people are. I have people on my campaign that talk to them. That's normal. The Clintons do that all the time. Every campaign probably. Any campaign with significant merit has some connections to these people. I'm going to hazard a guess that if these Trump officials that are so supposedly implicated, according to the media, had talked to the Australian government or to the Indian government or the Mexican government, nobody would bat an eye. They wouldn't care. Remember that time when Trump was campaigning? He went down to an event with the president of Mexico at the time, I believe, or ambassador to Mexico or something, and he was holding a big rally there. Who cared? But if it was Vladimir Putin, people would say, well, he's a Russian pawn or something. Well, was he a pawn of Mexico or the UK? I know he was meeting with Farage during the campaign and thereafter, taking smiley pictures and everything else. Nobody ever had a problem with him. The Christopher Steele dossier being questioned even by those who were very early proponents of it, and basically at the time expressed relatively less doubt. Now they're saying, hey, 2 years later, I think the doubt is growing because we still don't have proof of a lot of these claims. Yes, indeed, it looks like Trump didn't actually hire Russian hookers to pee on the Obama's bed at Trump Tower, Moscow, or whatever happened. It looks like that's not actually the case. Well, yeah, and when a document is riddled with some lies that you can prove pretty much are lies or you deeply suspect are lies, that casts doubt on everything else within the context of that document, which really underpins the entire Mueller probe. So I think that's a victory for Trump on that one. That's about all. Peace out.